Hello everyone. So, as we know, we are moving with the module number 1, that is dynamics of communication. In the last video, we have covered topic like process of communication and its important. Today, let's start the new topic, that is the dynamic of communication. The name of the module itself, that is dynamics of communication. What is dynamic of communication? Dynamic of communication refers to the type of communication as well as the ease with which the leaders communicate with various listeners. As we know, the dynamic word comes from the opposite of the static. Now you have to deal with the dynamic person with the dynamic communication skills. So this we will learn in this topic. The quality required for the dynamic communications are, let's see one by one. First is the leadership qualification. Dynamic communication is essential for most leaders simply because they don't have the static audience. As we have discussed, after our engineering, when we go to the corporate world, we don't have the static audience. So it needs to the leaders who don't have the static audience. Candidates seeking leadership roles, the ability to communicate goes far beyond whether you can compose a memo or give a speech. Second is the generation based communication. Members of the older generation typically are mature, who might appreciate a more formal mode of communication than their young ones, who might prefer communication from their leaders via sound bites, emails, or tweets. Next is the group or one-on-one. Effective leaders use dynamic communication to determine the best way to convey certain messages. Some topics are more suitable for group discussion, while others should only be shared in a private setting. Here, leaders have to decide whether the best way to convey a message is in group setting or one-on-one. So, when the leader knows that this topic is suitable for the group discussion, he has to decide that I have to take the group discussion or the private setting. Next quality required for the dynamic communication is language. Leaders with dynamic communication style demonstrate the capability to assess proficiency of their audience. Here the leaders have to know the language of the audience, then and then he has the ability of the dynamic communication. And the last quality required is engagement. A dynamic communication style also extends to how leaders engage their listeners. The difference between classroom lecture and a round table discussion is a type of communication. The difference between, as we have discussed, the difference between classroom and the round table discussion is a type of communication that appropriate for each group of listeners. Obviously, round table or the panel participation requires higher level of listener engagement than the information the leaders present in the lecture format. So here the leaders have the capability to engage their listeners. So these are the quality required for the dynamic communication. Let's repeat one by one. First is the leadership qualification, second generation based communication, third group or one-on-one, fourth language, and last is the engagement. Now the next topic is kinesics. As we have discussed in the introduction, the three topics, that is kinesics, proxemics, and parallelistic features. These three are the components of non-verbal communication. So let's begin with the third topic, that is kinesics. Kinesis is the study of body's physical movement. It is the way the body communicates with words through the various movement of its part. Some kinesics behaviors are deliberate. For example, you nod your head to indicate acceptance. While speaking, listening, reading, or writing, we consciously use words to receive or send ideas. Why do we use words? Because they are the primary symbolical forms that conveys our thoughts or messages. On paper, words remain static. However, punctuation marks are used to convey pauses, expression, emotions, etc. But listen, In face-to-face communication, the message is conveyed on two levels simultaneously. One is verbal and the other is non-verbal. As we have discussed, verbal and non-verbal we have discussed in the upcoming videos in detail. For example, suppose you are congratulating two of your friends on their successful interview. If you extend your hand to them with a big smile on your face along with the utterance congrats, your appreciation has more impact on them and the word is isolation. Your smile and the handshake are kinesics. Keep in mind your smile and the handshake are kinesics, that means non-verbal communication, whereas which enhances the impact on the non-verbal communication. So when you say thanks, it is the verbal communication, and your smile and the handshake are kinesics, that means the non-verbal communication. Now let's see the kinesics includes which topics is under the kinesics, what includes in the kinesics. So first is the personal appearance. We will see one by one in detail. Second, posture. Third, gesture. Fourth, facial expression. And fifth is the eye contact. So these are the 5 things that includes under the kinesics. Let's know one by one in detail. First is the personal appearance. Personal appearance plays an important role. People see before they hear. Just like we adapt our language to the audience, we should also dress appropriately. Appearance includes what includes in the appearance: clothes, hair, accessories, cosmetics, and etc. Today, the purpose of clothing has altered from fulfilling a basic need to expressing oneself. Clothes also accentuate the body's movement, and the choice of clothes reveals a lot about the wearer's personality and attitude. Personal appearance must be so planned that it communicates effectively to others. Even before speaker utters his or her first word, the audience begins to form an opinion from his or her and visualize the way he or she is going to talk. One's appearance may put the audience into the resistance or hostile attitude or induce in them a respective mood. To be clean and well groomed, conforming to the need of the occasion, is of utmost importance nowadays. Appearance communicate how we feel about ourselves and how we want to be viewed. So the most and the basic requirement when you go to speak among the audience is the personal appearance. Second comes the posture. Posture generally refers to the way we hold ourselves when we stand, sit or walk. One's posture changes according to the situation. If you are nervous, one should normally be seen pacing, bobbing the shoulder, fighting with the notes, jingling coins, moving constantly and staying glued in the ground. When we are with friends, we are probably spontaneous. We are not conscious about the posture and our physical movement in natural when we are with the friends. But when we encounter an unfamiliar situation, we become more conscious of our posture. For example, during an oral presentation, stiff position are the example of when we are in the awkward position. It is always better to lower the hands to one's side in the natural relaxed and resting posture. Standing, sitting or walking in the relaxed way is a positive gesture. While we encourage questions and discussions, the normal posture is applicable. Also, being comfortable, upright, squarely facing an audience and evenly distributing one's weight are aspects of posture that communicate professionalism, confidence, attention to detail and organization. The way one sits, stands or walk reveals a lot. So this is all about the posture. It is how we hold ourselves, how we sit, how we stand and how we walk. Third comes the gesture. Gesture is the movement made by hands, head or face. Skillful and appropriate gesture can add to the impact of verbal communication. A well-timed gesture not only drives a point home but also enhances the value of what is being said. Similarly, an awkward gesture, for example, like playing with a keychain or button, can reduce the effectiveness of the message. Gesture clarify our ideas or reinforce them and should be well suited to the audience and occasions. Gestures are more numerous than the other form of non-verbal communication. Gestures should not divert the attention of the listener from one's message. They should be quite natural and spontaneous. Be aware of and avoid irritating gestures such as playing with the ring, twisting a keychain, clapping hands tightly, and cracking knuckles. Gestures can roughly be divided into the various types. That is how we move our hands, how we move our head and face. So this is all about the gesture. Next comes the facial expression. Along with the posture and gesture, as we have discussed, facial expression are also the important part of non-verbal communication. The face is the most expressive part of our body. Listen, it is the most expressive part of our body. A smile stands for friendliness, a frown for discomfort, raised eyebrow for disbelief, tightened jaw muscles for antagonism, etc. Facial expressions are subtle. They can be used in a variety of ways to aid, inhibit, or complement communication. The face rarely sends a signal message at a time. Instead, it sends a series of messages. Facial expression may show anxiety, recognition, hesitation, and pleasure in quick succession. Facial expressions are difficult to interpret, though there are 6 basic expressions. There can be many shades and blends of this. Also, people tend to hide their true feeling via facial expression. So, and as we see in the picture, the normally seen facial expression are happy, sad, angry, when we surprised, scared, and bored. So these are the basic facial expression one can judge. And the last topic under the kinesics is eye contact. Eyes are considered to be the window of the soul. We look at the eyes of the speaker to find out the truthfulness of his or her words, intelligence, attitude, and feeling. Eye contact is the direct and the powerful form of non-verbal communication. We use our eyes to cull information. Eyes are also the rich source of feedback. Looking directly into the listener's built rapport. Prolonging the eye contact for 3 to 5 seconds tells the audience that the presenter is sincere in what he or she says and that he or she wants us to pay attention. Eye contact is especially important when we start a conversation. Our utter eyelids and eyebrows help us convey an intricate array of non-verbal message. A direct look conveys candor and openness. This direct and powerful form is a signal of confidence and sincerity. Therefore, experienced speaker maintain longer eye contact. The eye should convey the message, I am pleased to talk to you. Do believe in what I am saying. So this is all about the eye contact, which is considered as the window of the soul. So these are the 5 types which includes under the kinesics. Which are 5? First is the personal appearance, second is the posture, third is the gesture or movement of the hand, head, face, etc. Next is the facial expression, and the last we discuss is the eye contact. So this is all about the kinesics, which is the component of the non-verbal communication. So in this video we have covered main 2 topics, that is what is dynamic of communication, the quality required for the dynamic communication, this topic we have discussed, and then the next topic we have discussed is kinesics and the what is included under the kinesics. More topics of module 1 will be further discussed in upcoming videos. Thank you.